Motoring 2013 is brought to you in part by Shell V-Power Premium Gasoline.
Central Oregon. The locals will tell you it is some of the most beautiful countryside in the United States, and it's hard to disagree. You can see forever. But some will tell you get the feeling you're in the middle of nowhere, which is not a bad feeling as long as you're not a car company like Mitsubishi. And this company has struggled to get you on their shopping list. Now, unlike Suzuki, which has stopped selling cars south of the border, Mitsubishi continues the effort. And they have selected this area to launch the 2014 Outlander. Now, if my memory serves me right, this is the first new vehicle launched by this company in over 3 years. So let's see what all the excitement's about.
Obviously, Outlander competes in the compact SUV segment, which is one of the largest segments in Canada, and it's always been a very important vehicle for us. So the new Outlander, we have been anticipating this vehicle greatly.
So the 2014 Outlander is a very important launch for us for a variety of reasons. For one, the existing product needed a shot in the arm. It needed to sort of catch up and then exceed expectations of customers in this segment. The ratio has been typically 70% V6 and 30% four-cylinder. So for the 2014 model year, we've made significant changes to the valve train and the valve timing on the four-cylinder to make it more fuel efficient, reduce power loss, etc. And there have been some small modifications to the V6, but that is essentially a carryover engine.
When it comes to styling, the big change comes in the front end. You could always tell a Mitsubishi, including the last generation Outlander, because of the so-called shark nose. I always liked the design until you had to drill the holes and put a license plate on it, and I can just see the designers cringing. Well, for 2014, the shark is gone.
It is gone on this vehicle. However, there is a reason. The primary reason why we've gone to a much cleaner design is aerodynamics. We've actually managed to reduce the coefficient of drag of this vehicle by 7% versus the previous generation. The interior has been changed completely, all new design inside, new materials, high level of fit and finish, a lot of quality detail has gone into the inside of the vehicle, and I think it's a dramatic difference from our previous generation. The vehicle is slightly shorter than the previous generation. However, there is actually more cargo space in the back. It's approximately 335 millimeters longer.
They make appliances, engines, jet engines. They make all kinds of stuff. They have money. I don't know why they're not attacking the North American market. The Honda CR-V has a lock on this market. It's perfect. This car is not better than the CR-V. They're going to have to come up with something that is maybe a lot cheaper or just better in a lot of respects than the CR-V and the RAV4.
What we're going to do now is demonstrate the forward collision mitigation system. What we're really doing here is simulating like a city environment where there'd be stop traffic ahead at a red light or a line of traffic ahead of us. I'm not going to brake, I'm just going to drive, pretend I'm distracted, and we're going to see how the vehicle reacts and how the system works in this kind of condition. And now the vehicle has come to a complete stop. I never lifted my foot off the accelerator. As we got closer, the vehicle completely stopped itself and braked to avoid this potential collision.
Let me preface my comments here by saying that there's nothing wrong with the Mitsubishi products. They're not junk, they're not garbage, they're not lousy products. They're fine, they're just not exceptional. They're not on life support. But I just think that they have to do some work, and they got to get busy, and they got to bring more stuff in. The market is more competitive than ever.
2 consecutive years at virtually 20,000 units, and we hadn't been that strong in terms of volume sales in Canada since our inception in 2002. So things are looking up, and we have an Outlander now that is both refined as well as fuel efficient. So it has all the qualities that we believe is going to make it a success in the compact SUV segment.
Ready, Alex? Count me down. In 3, in 2, and 1. Let's go! Moving away. Hey, Daddy, up there, look.
I'm standing on a dumpster because I couldn't find a soap box. More later on Kenzie's Corner.
For as long as I can remember, the Europeans have enjoyed a love affair with a hot hatch, and they've had a very broad selection. In Canada, well, it's been slim pickings, but that's all about to change. On this edition of Test Drive, the latest hot hatch. This is the Focus ST. Aside from a bolder grille, a body kit and a larger rear spoiler, the ST's main stylistic cue is the double hexagon formed by the oversized tailpipes that exit the middle of the rear valance. It is a fairly mild dose of machismo that serves to keep the ST somewhat of a sleeper. The electric tangerine screen paint, however, well, it's a bit of a giveaway. You know, if you've sat in any Focus, you've sat in the ST. It is all pretty much the same, up to and including these really Mickey Mouse steering wheel mounted controls. The two important changes: number one, these Recaro seats. They really are about as good as money can buy. The second thing, and this shows that this is a driver's car: oil temperature, oil pressure, and a boost gauge. The ST employs a hyper version of Ford's 2-litre EcoBoost 4-cylinder engine. In this instant, the massaging bumps the output to 252 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. This gives the ST a wicked turn of speed, and it does so almost without regard for the engine's rev rate. When driven flat out, it has a deliciously flat torque curve that sees the engine pull as though it's possessed. However, it's equally willing to perform when it's short-shifted and worked in the lower part of the rev range. One of the key additions to this Focus ST is the Sound Symposer. Now, in simple terms, it's a pipe that runs from the intake manifold right the way back, and it drops the noise from there inside the cabin just behind the instrument panel, where all of the occupants get to enjoy the glorious sound. Now, were it not for that very simple device, this car would not be what it is. And there you have it. The ST will be offered with a 6-speed manual transmission only. While the gearbox is easy to row at the speeds required and the clutch is light and bites in the right place, the shifter has a long throw. Regardless, this powertrain is very potent. It whips the ST to 100k in 6.5 seconds, and it accomplishes the 80 to 120 passing move in a blistering 4.2 seconds. The last two elements of the dynamic puzzle has to do with the brakes. They've been upsized, which is an important consideration given the potency under the hood. The fun factor is found in the electronic stability control system. It has 3 very different modes. Normal does what all other systems do. The Sport mode, well, it gives the driver a lot more latitude, it allows the back end to slide around, and it allows you to burn rubber. But when that track calls, well, you simply turn the system off and let the ST rip. And it really loves to rip. When it comes to handling, the ST is as good or better than anything in the segment. The ST's revamped suspension drops the ride height by 10mm, and it firms it up appreciably without killing ride comfort. Factor in the variable rate steering setup that delivers a very fast turn-in response without feeling twitchy, and the ST obeys driver input exceptionally well. What is remarkable about the whole setup is that in spite of the engine's prodigious output, there is no torque steer. Ford, the crafty beggars, well, they use the electric power steering to keep the usual wayward pull at bay. Very clever. In my time behind the wheel on Test Drive, I have had an awful lot of fun. This Focus ST, it ranks as one of the best I've tested. It is incredibly fast, but it's the handling that really does make it a standout. It is fun, and more fun. However, when you get the grin, that's when you turn off the electronic nanny and just let it rip.
2013 Mercedes-Benz GLK. This is the mid-cycle refresh of a vehicle that was launched 4 years ago and has become very popular amongst Canadians. Two big surprises, an all-new interior and a diesel engine. When the GLK first landed in Canada, its job was simply to be the smallest of the Mercedes SUVs. As part of a trilogy, the GLK, the midsize ML, and the full-size GL covered customers' needs and also aimed at their eventual need to step up. 4 years later, though, the market has given the GLK a new job. It's now a small diesel showcase. This move changes everything, as diesel, till now, was only available in large displacements and on the most expensive Mercedes-Benz models. Now, it's being aggressively pushed down market into a very affordable and popular Mercedes model.
It's a big refresh for us, and the most exciting part of that is to bring in the GLK 250 BlueTech Formatica. So we're able to bring in the first diesel engine into this segment, which is really exciting for us and allows us to complete the diesel family with our SUVs.
The GLK exterior remains largely the same, but Mercedes-Benz has spent time and money on significant interior upgrades. But again, is it enough?
We have the most fuel-efficient all-wheel drive compact SUV on the market, period.
So they've addressed the interior, they've brought out this diesel engine, but in that, we also see the future, because not only is this small diesel, but for the first time ever, it's cheaper than the gas version.
We wanted to make a statement with the GLK, and we have a little bit of wiggle room. It's a 4-cylinder diesel engine versus our 6-cylinder diesel engine in our other SUVs. And also we've made the AMG Sport Package optional equipment on the diesel. So that still remains standard equipment on the 350 V6, but is optional on the diesel now.
This price scheme has a clear marketing message. Why pay more for a gas motor with poorer fuel economy? This effort will bring more small diesels into our market and should start spreading like wildfire now that Mercedes-Benz has struck this revolutionary pricing spark.
Our success within the SUV segment has been written on diesel for the last 4 years now, and this is the final piece of that puzzle now with the GLK, so we're really excited to have something new and exciting in a lower price bracket for Canadian customers.
Did you know? Brought to you by Kia. Designed to inspire.
In the past couple of years, moving everything into direct injection, and direct injection gives the customer more performance and fuel efficiency, basically giving the customer a lot of value.
So how does gasoline direct injection work? In short, this state-of-the-art technology not only lowers emissions and fuel consumption, it allows the engine to develop more power at the same time. Spraying the fuel directly into a hot cylinder has a cooling effect.
And what that does is the fuel itself is relatively cool, and when it mixes with the air, it keeps the whole charge cooler just before combustion takes place, before the spark plug ignites the fuel. And that cooler charge enables us to typically get more spark advance and run to higher compression ratios. And when we run with more spark advance or higher compression ratios, we get basically more power out of the engine.
At the same time, the exact timing of the injection and the precise placement of the fuel brings more efficient combustion. This significantly reduces emissions and fuel consumption, which is good for the environment. Combining gasoline direct injection with turbocharging then allows a 4-cylinder engine to produce the power of a V6, yet consumes significantly less fuel. For consumers, it's a win-win situation. Better fuel economy, fewer emissions, and more power.
A younger luxury buyer who is often a first-time luxury buyer in this segment typically is gravitated to the German brands. We feel with this vehicle, the exterior styling of the vehicle, it not only turns corners, but it turns heads.
The motoring tip of the week is brought to you by Walmart. For everyday low prices on Pennzoil, conventional, and synthetic oils.
Our motoring tip of the week concerns the lighting system of your vehicle. You might have noticed when you're at the Walmart TLE bay that bringing a car in and out of the bay is a two-person operation. One person driving, another person guiding that driver left, right, fore, and aft to center them up over the hoist so it's easy to pick the car up. but they're also doing a preliminary check of the lighting system of your car. They're checking the low beam headlights, the high beams, left and right turn signal. You'll actually hear them calling out in the bay to each other to make sure that all those lights are working around the vehicle. Here's what I want you to do. Do your own little poll next time you're at an intersection where there's a lot of vehicles waiting for a light to change. Just look around at the cars around you and see how many have one or more burned out brake lights. There's all kinds of them. There's lots of cars with no brake light bulbs working. And of course, the rear end collision is the most common collision. So the last thing you want is burned out brake lights. Now, here's what you do. Just turn your parking lights on, do your own little circle check, and use a friend to help you. Low light conditions are best, so in the evening, and step on the brakes, have your assistant step on the brakes and make sure that all the brake lights are coming on. Make sure that your license plate light is illuminating, your parking lights are working, high and low headlights, etc. Now, if you have any bulbs burned out and you want to change them yourself, owner's manuals have really improved over the years. There's a lot of manuals that have great do-it-yourselfer instructions. They even have the part number for the bulb you need to buy. Now, if you have one bulb burned out, maybe you've had that vehicle since new and your first headlight burns out, the other one's probably not going to be too far behind it, so you might want to think about changing too. It's just considered prudent. But if you've labeled them, you may know the vintage of those bulbs or you've written it down. Maybe you're just doing one at a time. But in any case, if you've got your full lighting system working up to spec, much safer vehicle. That's your motoring tip of the week.
Every time I drive one of these BMW Z4s, it just puts a smile on my face. It makes me feel like a kid all over again. That is a 2014 BMW Z4, and this is the 2-minute test drive. This midlife cycle refresh is subtle to say the least, but BMW has done it right by softening the overall lines. The main change visually are the headlights, and don't forget, it only takes one button to make the sun shine in. This S-Drive 35i gets the 300 horsepower, 3-liter twin-turbo 6-cylinder, and that can be made to either a 6-speed manual or, like in this one, a 7-speed automatic. This S-Drive 35i features several packages that take it from a base of $63,300 to just over $74,000. It has the premium package, the all-important M Sport package, which gets you the adaptive M suspension, the M Aero package, and the 19-inch wheels. It also has Hyper Orange, navigation, and connected drive packages. My pet peeve with the Z4 is the angle of this window. It doesn't go straight up like most windows. And look what happens when you open the door. If you're not careful, it can hit you right there. I'm not the only one it hit during the week we had it. What impresses me the most about this BMW Z4 is not what power it has, whether the roof is up or down, or even what options it has. What I like the most about it is it's just plain fun. Like I said earlier, it makes you feel like a kid all over again. I'm Russ Bond, and this has been the 2-minute test drive.
And I just want you to know that no adults were harmed in the making of this video.
Closed captioning for Motoring 2013 is brought to you by
Greener, fuel efficient, global. This is Chevrolet Now, driving our world forward.
Now, this is a show about cars and driving, not about politics. But if you own a car, chances are you got a job, you pay taxes, you're probably old enough to vote, and you should vote. So politics is important because it affects every aspect of your life. Now, the biggest political issue in Canada is always our healthcare system. It's pretty good, we're very proud of it, but it costs a lot of money. But you know, it isn't really a healthcare system, it's a disease and injury fixing system. If we want to reduce the cost of our system, we got to keep people from coming into it in the first place. Now, the number one cause of serious injury and death for ages 1 to 44 in this country is accidental trauma, mostly car crashes. Healthcare heart disease, cancer, they start to affect older people. Car crashes disproportionately affect younger people, so we lose more person years to car crashes. Number one cause of car crash? Driver error. So if I'm Minister of Health, forget about Minister of Transportation, I'll do that too, I want to improve the way we drive our cars, teach people how to drive better. If I'm the Minister of Justice, my court system is clogged up with traffic cases. My police are spending millions of dollars on traffic issues. Teach people how to drive better. If I'm the Minister of Labor, I'm looking at productivity. People don't get killed at work very much anymore. Most of the time they get killed driving to work. Improve productivity, teach people how to drive better. Now, when I go to the ministers in my province, which is Ontario, and say, why don't we teach people how to drive better? They say, we've got the safest roads in North America. We don't have to do anything more. Well, if these rascals are prepared to accept enough deaths to be equivalent of September 11, 2001, the terrorist disaster in New York, it's even worse in the States, it's once a month down there, I say throw those rascals out and let's get some new rascals. I'm Jim Kenzie.
Motoring's Ted Letourneau, with a twinkle in his eye, likes to describe the styling of the new Outlander as porridge without the brown sugar. Well, I kind of like the styling, and you know, it's no less exciting than the competition, and they tell me that there are 26 competitors in this segment. So the challenge continues for Mitsubishi to get you behind the wheel for a test drive. I like the vehicle. It's a comfortable drive, all the bells and whistles of the competition, and still to come, a plug-in hybrid vehicle, which apparently is now selling quite successfully in Japan. As for that test drive, I suggest you put it on your shopping list. Before we go, make sure you check us out at motoringtv.com and join us on Facebook for the total motoring experience. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
Styling always sells, and that's the first step that they've got covered. So they've got a shot, now they've got a story to tell. The challenge for them will be to tell that story and to convince customers to come and take a look.
Motoring 2013 has been brought to you in part by Shell V-Power, premium gasolines.